Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. I am Lora Rolling and this is the fifth and final part of our Chilly Gnome Ornament series. Today we are going to work on the cap. We're going to put all of our units together on the ornament and we're going to add the ribbon. Finalizing the ornament, and I am so excited to put this all together. I hope you are too. If you haven't watched the first 4 parts of this series, click on the description down below and they're listed and you can watch those and make the units first. And then you can come back to this final one and put all the units together with us. And we are going to have so much fun today. Let's get started. First, you're going to need 3 colors of beads. The pearl white, the crystal AB, and the chalk white. We're going to use those to make the cap towards the end, and this will be the cap for the ornament. So of course, we're also going to need the ornament. This is a 2.36 inch ornament that you can find at your local hobby store in a 12-pack. This is the standard size of plastic ornaments. If you can find the glass ones and that's what you prefer, then that's great too. Just make sure that the size is 2.36. You're also going to need some fireline and a beading needle. This is the Eslon fire that I find at the hobby store, and it is crystal in color, and then it's 4 pound. You can also use 6 pound if you'd like, and I use a size 10 beading needle. I also use 2 implements. And so just to hold on to the thread while I'm cutting off the tails, and we're going to be doing that quite a few times while we're putting these units together. So you definitely want something to cut your thread with, and I just hold this nice and tight. It's easier for me. It doesn't slip, the thread doesn't slip out of my hands if I use that. So, and then we also are going to need a ribbon. This is a 10 centimeter wide ribbon, and we're going to cut it at 12 inches. We just need 12 inches of a ribbon, and that is what is going to be our tie or hanger for our ornament once it's completed. And you also need the units that we have made in the previous 4 videos. So there's 20 units in all, and so you definitely need to do these first. So I have my needle threaded with about 3 feet of thread, and you can put on as much thread as you want. You're definitely going to be using more thread than this, just as much as it takes, really. So we're going to start out by putting together the second unit that we made in this series, and this was called the beard and shoes unit. Now I want you to really take a look at what you have done here, because there are only 2 sides that have connecting beads, and those connecting beads are the ones that we're going to really focus on in today's video. So the top of this unit has connecting beads and the left side has connecting beads, but the right side does not. And I want you to just double check and make sure that all 5 of your units have connecting beads on the top and on the left, but not on the right. And believe me, that will save you a lot of heartache once we get started. I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to connect them in a circle. We're going to do this in a certain way. I have a way to thread them so that the tension of the thread ends up being perfect to fit onto the ornament. So follow my thread line. I know it's very easy or tempting to just go, oh, I can put these together, but definitely follow my thread line, and you'll have the best results because of that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew in our thread. I'm going to do that off camera. Go ahead and take your first unit and sew in your thread, making sure that you end going down this top left silver bead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by sewing in right here, and I'm going to sew through. I'm going to go up and down a couple of times just to secure my thread, and then I will end with inside this silver bead, pointing my needle this way. So if you notice, I'm going up and down a couple of times. It doesn't really matter what bead you start in, as long as you secure that thread in. And if you thread up one bead, then you want to go down the bead next to it, and then up the bead next to that one, and that way the thread just kind of pops in and hides itself, right? And then we're going to work our way up to that silver bead. Okay, so now the thread is coming out of this silver bead. So now we're going to take our next unit and we're going to attach it to the first unit. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go down this bead and the bead just under it. And then we're going to also go down the second black bead that's sticking out. See, this one is sticking out right next to the silver bead, and then the second one is sticking out. So we skip the first one, we go down the second one, and then we pull our thread tight, and then we also go down the second bead in the first unit. So it should look like this. Okay, then we want to go down, we're just lacing it kind of like shoes, down the next bead that's sticking out, and then we're going to do the same thing on the next bead that's sticking out of the first unit. So we just keep going back and forth, and we lace it just like we would lace, well, kind of like we would lace shoes, making sure that our thread is not tangled up with itself, right? And once you have a couple of threads like that, you can pull them together and you see that they attach nice and firm. Pull them tight so that no thread is showing, and then go ahead and thread all the way down your unit. Okay, now I want you to see that I am coming out of this last sticking out bead on the right unit, right? And I'm going to sew up the last unit on, or the last bead on the second unit, okay? And then I'm going to pull it tight and sew through the silver bead, turning. Okay, now I'm going to position my thread to get it ready for the next unit. So I'm going to sew down the two beads after the silver bead, and now we are in position to add another unit. that was 2, another unit. So right there. And so we're going to go up this unit and we're going to end with this silver bead. So our needle will be coming out of this silver bead. Okay, so go ahead and do that and I will be right back. Okay, so now we have 3 units attached and we are coming out of this silver bead. So now we're going to just weave through these beads until we get to this silver bead, down 2 of the black beads, and then we will be in position to set on our 4th unit. So let's do that, sewing through the first black bead, and I like to just go down here and then over here. It just seems like these beads are a little more relaxed. Oh, went down the wrong bead. A little more relaxed, and they don't have as much thread inside of them. And so I just go all the way down. I follow the line, making sure that I'm staying within this top kind of triangle on this unit. So I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to fast forward this so that you find me at the end right here. Okay, so now we are in position to add our 4th unit. And so this has the connecting beads, so this side does not have the connecting beads, so it will fit perfectly. Let's bring our thread all the way through. We're starting out right here in this first poking out bead, and we're going to go down into this second black poking out bead, not the first one next to the silver bead, but the second one that's poking out. And we're going to go through that one bead. I'm going to turn it because I like to sew towards me, so I keep moving my marker so I stay in frame. You keep seeing it. It's kind of cute if you have caught it yet. Say, I spy Lora's marker. Okay. And now we are going through the second one. Now we're going to go one more down. And you see that thread swirl back and forth again. Pull it tight, finish it off, and end through this silver bead. Okay, now we have 4 units on, and so we're going to position our thread down these 2 black beads, and now we are in position to add our 5th and final unit. Now this one, make sure that these are the connecting beads. So this side has to be the one without the connecting beads. We are coming out of the second bead down, the first one that's sticking out, and we're going to sew through the second bead sticking out on this unit. So go ahead and sew through that first bead, connecting them. Now we are going to sew through the second sticking out bead on the big unit. Now we can sew through the next sticking out bead, pull it tight, and now they're connecting, so go ahead and sew to zip it up, and we will end with coming out of this bead going this way. Okay, now we are coming out of this silver bead right here, and what we're going to do, since we are in a position where we need to bring our thread over here, we're just going to sew through these beads again and until we have our needle coming out of this silver bead. So we're going to sew down the black bead, down the blue bead, down the second blue bead, down the white bead, and we're going to go all the way through the V until we end up at the silver bead. All right, now we are coming out of the silver bead and we get to zip up the final zip. Okay, so I am actually going to flip it over, and it's just easier for me to sew up the cup, like the outside of the cup, because it is cupping in, right? So it's much easier to sew on the outside of the cup. So what I'm going to do is flip it over so that it's kind of hugging my hand, and then I'm going to sew down these first two black beads. And make sure that we're hiding our thread. Okay, now we are in position to sew up. So we're coming out of this second bead. It's the first one that's poking out. We're going to sew through this bead, which is the second one that's poking out. Okay, so that's how we start. And then we're going to sew through the second bead poking out on this side, and then the third bead really poking out on this side, but it's the very next poking out bead. So this is what it looks like. Now we're going to zip it all the way up, sewing all the way up until we get to the end, and then we're going to come out of this bead. We started with this silver bead, we're going to end with this silver bead. Okay, so now we have to cinch up all these silver beads. So simply, we're going to sew through the next silver bead. My thread is tangling itself. Okay, and sew through the next, sew through the next, through the next, so that's 5, and then sew through the first one again, and you can pull. Now we're going to do that one more time just to reinforce it. We're going to sew through and pull, sew through and pull, sew through and pull, sew through and pull. Now we are back and we're going to go through that first bead a third time, and now we are going to tie off and cut our thread. So what we're going to do now, here's the temptation part. Okay, you see that there's kind of like a little teeny bit of space between each of these. You do not want to sew those to where those are tight up against each other, because if you do, I've tried that, and it doesn't fit the ornament correctly. It will be way too tight for the ornament to cinch up perfectly. So don't be tempted to do that. I always am. But so I just go down this first black bead, and then I just go down probably 5 or 6 beads, and then I will go up and down, you know, get it nice and secure, and pull this tight so that the circle stays tight, and then cut off your thread. Okay, now if you take your ornament and set it down, you will see, although it's never going to stay like that just because it's the first part, but you will see that it fits the bottom of the ornament perfectly. Okay, so that's encouraging, right? Okay, so now we're going to take this part and we're going to set it aside just for a moment, and then we're going to just double check our hat and nose units. Okay, so this is what I want you to double check. Every single one of the hats has a little puffy right here, right? So the puffy is not complete. It has another half of the puff that's going to be set against it, and it's going to turn out to be the full puff, right? So it's very important that that puff is on the right hand side. Now you see this one I laid down, and it's actually on the left hand side. Can you see that? Let me make sure I'm in frame. Oh, I am. I'm getting a little too far up. Okay, so we want to just turn that over, and then of course make sure that they're all on the right side, and also make sure that the right side has no connector beads, the left side has connector beads, and the bottom side has no connector beads. Okay, so we're going to take one of them, and we are going to now sew this with the cup being in our hand. So our fingers are inside the cup. We're going to flip it over, okay? And then we're going to take our hat and nose, and we're going to attach it to each of these. So you're going to have all 5 of them are going to have a hat and a nose, okay? So how we're going to do this, we're going to make our thread come up and just sew in your thread so that you're starting with your thread coming through the silver bead, the top right silver bead in any of these. Okay, just pick one. Top right. Okay, so let's sew it in. And now I'm coming out the silver bead. Okay, so now we're going to take that first hat and nose, and we are going to make sure that our thread goes through that first black bead, the first blue bead. Our puff is on the right hand side, and we're going to sew through the first blue bead on the hat unit, hat and nose unit. And now we're going to sew all the way across. Okay, we are now going through the last, coming out of the last blue bead. We're going to sew down this black one, that's the second black one on this side, down the blue one, the first blue one on the side, up the middle blue one, and up the last blue one that we were on. We're making this nice and tight. We're going to sew up the black one and come out the silver. and then we're going to tie it off. Going up just a couple of beads. Back and forth. Oh, I have to go up one more. You have to have at least 3 beads in a row for the back and forth to work. So always want to hide your bead thread. So, I mean your thread, what is it? Your thread line, your thread pattern. Follow your thread pattern. That way you never see thread. Okay, up, down, and now up, down again. And then I'm going to just go through one more and cut it off. I do this to save thread. You can just weave on to the next point if you want to, but I like to cut it and just move. So our next one that we're going to put on is right here. So I'm going to show you in the next one how we can just jump over to the next unit without connecting these 2 beads, okay? So we want to make sure, remember the puff has to be on this side, right? The puff has to be on the right side. So now put all of them on just like that. I'm going to meet you over here, and then I'm going to show you how to put it on without cutting your thread. Okay, I now have 2 units on, and I am coming out of this last blue bead. I'm going to go up through this black bead, through the silver bead, down the black bead, 1 black bead, up the next black bead. Now remember, we don't want to pull that tight. We need that little space in between there, okay? So make sure that there's not a thread on the top of these 2 beads, just on the bottom. You can even, just to be sure, you can go down this bead and then up these 2 beads just to get us over to this silver bead. And now that I'm doing this, this is much easier and saves your thread. So don't do the cutoff way. Do it this way if possible. Just make sure you leave that space in between these 2 beads, okay? Now we're ready to put on the third. Do the same technique without cutting your thread. Once you get over here, you'll have zipped on a third unit, then go down this one, make sure your thread is here, go up this bead, and then you're positioned to put on your next one. And do that all the way around, and I will meet you at this silver bead. Okay, now we have all 5 of our cute little gnomes on our ornament, and I'm going to show you how to thread next to position our needle where we need to be. Okay, so the next one we're going to use basically the same thread pattern. We're coming out of the blue, the last blue. We're going to go up the black, through the silver, down the black, up the black, through the silver, down the black, up the black, through the silver, down the black, and that is going to put us in position. So up the black, through the silver, down the black, up the black, through the silver, down the black, up the black, through the silver, down the black. Okay, now we are in position, and I'm going to actually zoom out just a little bit because our that's zooming in. There we go. Because now we're going, because this is getting big enough that it was not fitting in frame. Now we're going to start adding our snowflake. Okay, so our snowflake, you'll notice, has these 3 little beads on the left-hand side. So this is how you're going to differentiate between which side is which. The left side has the 3 white beads right here. The right side has no white beads, okay? And so the top is, it has connector beads. The left has connector beads and the right has no connector beads. So that is what you should be looking for in all of your units. Just make sure that it does have all that, okay? So it's pointing downwards, and when it's pointing downwards, you make sure that it has the connector beads on top, the connector beads on the left, no connector beads on the right, and it has the 3 on the top left. Okay, so just check your 5, make sure that that's true. And if it's not, then you always want to stop right then and fix whatever unit happens to, you know, be missing beads or whatever, because sometimes that happens. If you need to go back to one of the videos to help, then this would be the 3rd video, okay? So, and that's okay, then you come right back here and start off where you left off. Okay, so we're going to connect the first one, and those 3 beads just connect up to the puffy on this hat. And so if we're coming out of this first black bead right here, then we're going to go up the first pokey out black bead right here, okay? And then we're going to do our zip up. So just like all the other ones, we're going to then go through the next black bead and the next black bead, the pokey outs, and we're gonna just zip them all the way up. I'm going to turn mine around so that I can sew downwards, because that's so much easier for me. And zip it up, and I will see you at the end. We're going to end where this silver, when we go through this silver bead. Okay. We're not ending in that silver bead. We're ending in this black bead. It's the last black bead that's sticking up. So we're coming out of that black bead. We're going to go up this black bead and through the silver. Oh, try not, there we go. Okay. So now we are at the tip of the hat, right? The tippity top silver. And now we're going to add the next one. Okay, so this triangle is going to have, you got to make sure that you connect it this way, right? So we're going to be connecting this side, so it's going to end up looking like this, making sure that we're connecting the right side of this triangle unit, and we're not going to be connecting this with these whites just yet. We're going to zip down the right side that doesn't have connector beads, but the hat unit does, so it works out perfectly fine. So this is how we're going to position it, and go ahead and sew down the first 2 black beads to get our thread in position. And now we're ready to catch on to the second black pokey out on your unit. And go ahead and zip it on down. Okay, now we're going to sew through this last black one and through the silver bead at the very bottom tip of the snowflake unit. And now we're ready to connect the hat and nose to that same unit. So how do we do that? We go down these 2 black beads, and we are ready to pick up or go through this second sticky outy bead. Zip it on down, and I will meet you at this silver bead. Okay, now we are at the top of the second gnome's hat, and we're going to add our next unit, which is going to be, remember, these 2 match up together, so the point goes down here. So that means that the side that doesn't have connector beads on the new unit that we're putting on is going to mesh up to the hat and nose. So in order to do that, we need to sew down these first 2 black beads and making sure that it's in the right position, we're going to catch the second black bead and then the next black bead on the hat and nose and the next black bead, and go ahead and zip it all the way down, and I'll meet you at the silver bead. Okay, we are now at the silver bead, and we can easily see that we're connecting the third gnome to the snowflake, and that is hat puff matches perfectly. So position yourself by sewing down both of the black beads, and I am not sure I'm going to have enough thread to do this, but I'm going to attempt it. We're going to go through the second black bead, the second pokey outy, and then the next bead on the snowflake triangle, and go ahead and zip it up. Okay, we are now at the tip of the third gnome, the very top of his hat with the silver bead. I am going to hide my thread. I'm just going to go down these 2 beads, but you know what you're doing. Add one more. Don't add this one just yet. You're going to add just one side of it, but you have to leave something open. So we're going to let this one stay open. Okay, so go ahead and put on your next snowflake, and I will catch up with you. Okay, I am back with lots of thread on my needle. So we are now going to put our last snowflake on, and I want you to notice that we have not cinched up our little 5 silver rounds that are going all the way around just yet. You want to wait until we have the ornament on. And then we will cinch those up so that the ornament fits really well. Okay, so our last triangle will fit just like the last 4 have, and we're coming out of this last silver, or the top silver bead. So we go down the 2 black beads and making sure that it is in the right position. I'm lining it up with the puff, and down the, sorry, I have to turn it, down the 2nd bead and zip it up, and I'll meet you at the bottom. Okay, now we are at this bottom silver. We're going to go up the next 2 black beads and zip this side up. Now remember, we're leaving this one open, okay? So catch the 2nd pokey outy bead, and then the next, and I'll meet you up at the top silver right here. Okay, now here we are. Now it's the moment of truth. We get to put our ornament inside, and you'll see that it's so easy to go in. You're not fighting with it or anything. And now we get to zip this side up, or I should say down. So of course we're coming out the silver bead, going down the next 2 black beads, and then we're going to grab the 2nd black bead on the snowflake side, and the next bead, and go ahead and zip it up, and I will meet you down at the circle of 5 silver beads. We're going to be coming out of this one. Okay, now we are coming out of this silver one. We're going to tighten all 5 of these in a circle. So through all 5 of them, and then come through the first one and tighten it, and then we're going to go around 2 more times. Make it nice and tight. Go through all silver beads. That's the 2nd time around. And now we're going to do the 3rd time. 3, 4, 5. Oops. So we went through 3 times all the way around and tightened that up nice. Okay, so now that our ornament fits, it should be loose enough that it moves around easily, but tight enough that it won't come out, okay? So Now we get to tighten the tension. So we're going to just sew through these beads, do 3 rounds, sew through the next, get to the next 5 silvers and sew 3 rounds, and do that all the way around until all of the silver circles look just like this one. Okay, now that you have finished with all of your circles and they're all nice and tight around the ornament, it looks like perfection, right? Oh my gosh, I'm already in love, aren't you? Okay, so now we just need to bring our thread up the beads until we get to this top bead right here, and it can be on any of the tops of the snowflake. So go ahead and weave without picking up any beads. Of course, we haven't picked up any beads yet this tutorial, have we? We're gonna just go all the way up, so all the way up. So I will meet you up there. Okay, so now we have our thread coming out. The silver, we're just going to step up to this first pokey outy bead on the top of the snowflake. Okay, so now our ornament is still very movable. I don't know if you can see inside the ornament, but there's like this little center dot that fits perfectly in the center. And so what we're going to do, we don't have to keep it there because it will move around as we're adding. Once again, we definitely want to double check that our top tiers are complete, that we have on the left side we have our connector beads, and on the bottom we have no connector beads, and on the right we have no connector beads. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to double check that they all have the right beads on them before you start, and then we're going to just start connecting. The left connector beads are going to be on the left, and the bottom doesn't have any, but the top of the snowflake does have connector beads. So we are going to start sewing through the second bead and zip it up just like we have all the others. Okay, now we are coming out of our silver bead, pointing up. So you'll see that this is going to fit perfectly, right? So it's still going to be moving around. Feel free to push it out of your way. When you grab your next top tier, you want to make sure that the left side, the one that we're connecting, has connector beads, because this side does not have connector beads. So you want to connect to this very first pokey out bead. Oh wait, first we have to go through this bottom black bead right next to the silver bead, and now we go through the first pokey out bead and go ahead and zip it up. I'm going to turn it upside down and I'm going to zip it up. Now, coming out this top connector bead, we're going to go down the bead right next to it, and that way it tightens up all of those beads together. Okay, so now we're going to sew right back down and end in this silver bead. Okay. Okay, here we are at the silver bead. Coming out of the silver bead, we're going to go down the first black bead next to the silver bead, putting our thread in position to sew our zigzag, starting connecting to this first pokey outy bead. Okay, turning it and zip on down. We will end at this silver bead right here. Okay, now we are ready to put on our next unit, top tier unit, making sure that the connector beads are on the left. We're going to zip it up, zip it back down, sew the bottom connectors, and end right here. Okay, we are now only missing 2 of our units. So we're going to do the same thing for the next 2 units. We're going to make sure that we have the connector beads on the left side and add it. And then I will meet you again right here. Okay, we are now in position to add our last triangle, our last top tier, and it's fitting perfectly. So go ahead and sew up and back down and then connect this one, making sure that we start with the connector beads on the left, okay? And if you are following the rules and not sewing the 5 as we go, then your tension is going to be absolutely perfect for your ornament. So we want to start, of course, with this thread coming out of this first one and sew up, down, and then we will sew, well, let's see, we'll sew up, we'll sew down, then we'll connect them on the bottom, then we can connect it up, go back down, and then we can start connecting those 5s. And you will see that it really just cinches it and tightens it to perfection. So I will meet you once we get, we'll go up, down, we'll sew the bottom, we'll go up, we'll go back down, and I'll meet you right here. Look at how perfect this fits. I mean, absolute perfection, right? Okay, so we still have to do, we're going to bead around the cap, but before we do that, we're going to sew back down and we're going to tighten these, go around these 3 times, and then sew over, go around, sew over, go around, and then end your thread and meet me back, and we will start with the cap to bead. Okay, now that we have finished all of tightening up all of the circles, I have ended my thread and cut it off. Our ornament is almost complete. You could actually get away with just using it like this, but if you want to garnish it, the cap is going to be next. So thread your needle with, oh, it doesn't take much, maybe a foot of thread. Start chaining 40 of the white beads onto our needle. Okay, now we are going to sew through 3 of them, pull our thread so that we have a nice little tail right there. I'm just going to hold my tail. If you want, you can use a stopper bead. I never do that with my peyote, but we're just going to peyote in a circle. So that means that we are now going to pick up one, we're going to skip one, and sew through the next. And pull it nice and tight. And then we're going to do it again. We're going to do that like 4 times. So we're coming out of this one, we're going to skip this one, we're going to sew through the next. And pull it tight. Coming out of this one, skip this one, sew through the next. And before you know it, you'll start seeing it really starting to bud up next to each other. And skip one, sew through the next. We're going to do this all the way around. We're going to end we're having put on 20 beads on the second row. So we started with 40 and now we are putting one in between each one of those. And it really starts, if you can hear my husband snoring in the background, he's like, "Are you still filming?" I'm like, "Yep." It's a long project, right? And we're just going to keep putting them on. So I'm sorry for the snoring if you hear that. But he gave up on me and fell asleep, I think on the couch, because he sounds very close to my craft room. I don't hear the TV back there though. So, alrighty. So how many people are getting the creativity flowing through your mind when it comes to this ornament pattern? I want to know. Comment down below that you have all sorts of ideas on what to create now that you know how to bead around an ornament. Oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless. Okay, so we are now at our tail. So we're going to pick up one last bead. We're going to sew through the one that has the tail coming out. And we're going to pick up one more and sew through the next one, and then we're going to step up, meaning we're sewing through the next one up. Okay, so now we have a nice little round like this. And now we have 2 rows of peyote in a circle. Now we're going to move on to the crystal AB, which I'm calling silver. So these are all the same beads that we used. And we're going to do 2 rows of the crystal AB, just picking up one bead and going through the next. And just go all the way around, pick up one bead and go through the next. And so I was thinking of doing the videos every time I figure out a pattern and I already figured out another one for Valentine's Day. And I don't think that I'm going to be using these just as Christmas ornaments. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang them on the door of my craft room, maybe even on the rear view mirror in my car. And so we can make one every month with a different theme. So that's what I plan on doing. And I'm just going to create the patterns. I'm going to put them into my Etsy shop so you can buy the patterns as I print them, or as I, create them. And then we can meet back here on YouTube, and we will do the step-by-step. Each one will be a 5-step series. And so if we do that once a month, then we can basically do like one video a week, and then finish off that 5th week. Okay, so now I'm ending with my last crystal AB or silver, and I'm stepping up. So that's the first row of the crystals. Now we're going to do that again with a second row of this crystal or the silver. This is what we were using for the circle. So that's what my thought is. If you haven't seen that I have an Etsy shop, I just started it just for this pattern, and it's called LoraOrnaments.etsy.com. And so you can pick up this pattern for the Chilly Gnome. Probably tomorrow I'm going to post the next pattern. And if you're watching this video in the future, it's actually, I think it's the 13th of January in 2025 today. And if you go to my Etsy shop in the future, you might see many patterns, because really the sky is the limit when it comes to this pattern. And like I said before, I've never seen a pattern like this on a YouTube video, so it's just fun to do it all together. I would love to see pictures. I'm not sure how to do that. Maybe just in all the beading groups that are on Facebook. Maybe we can even start a Facebook group of, ornament lovers or something like that. Let me know if you are interested in that. Comment down below, and I'd be happy to start a Facebook group so we can share all the pictures of all of the pretty patterns that we decided to do. I mean, like this pattern, we could make gnomes in every color. We could make, okay, so I'm stepping up, and that is the second row. Now, the reason why I still have my tail is because we want to be able to pull them so that they're not so super tight. And we're going to do another row of the next color, which is the pearl white, right? So we're going to do pearl white next, but before we do that, we're going to take our ornament and we are going to put the white down first, and we're just going to fit this on our ornament. And with the tail still just kind of out there, there should be enough room to fit it onto your ornament. Okay, so once you do get it on, it might take a couple tries to get it on, but once you do get it on, then pull your string and it will cinch its way all the way around nice and snug. And now we can finish by putting on our pearl beads. So we're going to just spill some out and continue on with our peyote. So the crystal ones are kind of hard to see, but we're coming out of this one. So we're going to put our first pearl right there and continue adding one pearl between every sticky outie. Sticky outie. I have to give Jill Wiseman credit for that cute little name. I have been beading for many, many years, and I remember when I first learned or wanted to learn peyote. This stitch is so addicting. I had such trouble learning it. I don't know why, but it didn't come easy to me, and Jill made it so simple. So if you have never heard of Jill Wiseman, she is an amazing beader, and so look her up. She has so many patterns, just amazing. But she taught me peyote, and she used to, I don't know if she still does, I haven't watched her in a while, but she used to call these the sticky uppies. Okay. Oh, I think I just hit my camera with my forehead. Okay. Now we are coming around. We are almost done putting all of the pearls on. I'm running out of thread. And I think we just need 2 more. Oh, this is the last one. Okay, so we're coming up through this last one, and we're going to step up to this next pearl. So let me make sure I am in screen. Oh, good, I am. And this will come off if you tug on it, so don't tug too hard, but hold on to your tail and pull the tail one way and your thread the other way, and you will see that it comes up perfectly on the edge. And so now we're just going to run our thread through a couple more beads, go down, just follow your thread path, and then turn around, go the opposite direction, right next to the bead that it was coming out of. So we're hiding the thread and we're going to tie it off. Okay, just do that a couple more times. I like to do like turn on this one. I like to turn like maybe 2 or 3 times and then cut my thread so that it is nice and secure and the cap won't fall apart. And so then we're going to cut the thread, and then we're going to add the ribbon, and we will be finished. Okay, now we have our ribbon, and it is 12 inches of ribbon. You can pick any ribbon that you think looks nice with your ornament. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to fold it in half, just like this, and we're going to tie a knot as nicely as you possibly can on the tip underneath, and push those 2 ends through. I try to level them a little bit, make sure they're even, and then pull, tie a knot just right up at the end, as close to the end as you can possibly get. And mine's fraying, so I'm just going to cut off those frays. But now you have what looks like this. Okay, so we're going to pinch the end, fold it over, So it looks like this. And then we're going to take our ornament and we're just going to slide it through, pull it through about halfway, and then take the end and put it right between, and then turn it so that it is, let's see, so that it looks fairly nice. Pull the top like that, and it's connected. So now we have our ornament and it is nice and secure. Of course, if you pulled this up, you have the ability to work with it, but your cap will come off. So I would keep it on. You can do it however you want to, but now you have your completed ornament, and isn't he just so cute? Alrighty, well that is all for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to comment down below and let me know what your ideas are when it comes to patterns, and maybe I'll make one and then I'll post it and we will be able to make another ornament together. I'm so excited. We just finished our ornament. We put it all together. We beaded every single bead, put it all in place, and you should be proud of yourself for making this too. I just love this pattern, and of course I'm going to have many more patterns to come. So remember to like and subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified when a new video comes out, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.